Well, that's us. Hopefully, this is recording bits and pieces. I'm not holding up much hope, but let's find out. So yeah, let me know on chat if you're seeing stuff and whatever. Is this working? Is it not? Let's find out. Good evening. Cam is frozen. Of course it is. Of course it is. Well, let's start as we mean to go on, right? Right. Of course. Let's try this. So, sources. I mean, if this was all going to go to plan, I'm not going to lie, it would have kind of, How about now? Wow. That went really, really wrong, didn't it? Let's not do that. Let's do that. Whee! See, you're getting all the stream magic in the background. Hope everyone is well. Audio is perfect. Video is frozen. Thank you, Zavas. Cheers for that. Yeah, hope everyone's doing well. Good to see you all. Shadow Girl, German, Jadomo, Stakaragord getting the band back together. Ray dropped Zaveth. Good to see you all. So, I guess the first bit of news is that Friday we had a really, really good game online. I'm just going to fix the frame because I'm kind of bleeding over. So, excuse me while I drag us around and do all sorts of weird stuff in the background. But yes, had a really good time online doing Siege of Orison with a bunch of you guys from the community, including Jadomo Stakaragord, their first appearance in any of our community games. So thank you very much for that. It was awesome. Our resident medic and expert pilot, Scarlett, along with Edison and Avi and Stunner and everyone else. I'm really sorry for missing. Hellwinter, you were there as well, weren't you, bud? So yes, a really, really good time. And in 3 hours, we had 2 successful completions of Siege of Orison, which is mental. So that whole thing where people were kind of appearing in the ground and like the pads or the data things with the codes weren't spawning, it worked really well. On one of them, the AA was working. On one of them, it wasn't. So you could just take off whenever you wanted. But yeah, and we kind of cheesed the first one a little bit because we had to wait for a couple of people and the lead group just got so far ahead, we decided to bunny hop them over to admin straight away and, yeah, killed the dude, got the helmet, shut down the iffy. It was a good time, and it was really good time to meet some new people. Yeah, so that was good fun. German, yeah, mate. Dude, you're always welcome, you know that. And anyone from here, one of the questions I had in Discord was, how do I get to be a community member? You are. Just by joining Discord, we consider you part of the community, and you are always welcome. There is no paywall to the playing games. I don't ever want to put a paywall in there. I will not put a paywall, because that's not the point of DGP. The point of DGP was always to get like-minded people together and play some games. And boy, oh boy, did we play some games. It was really good fun. And, as we're going to talk about a little bit today, there are good times on the horizon. There are a couple of events coming up that I am really, really excited to be able to approach and play with you, guys and girls. It's going to be really, really good fun. Looking good, Badgers. Thanks, mate. Dude, you've pulled already, you know that. So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Shadow Girl is very good with medics. She's learned the ins and out of all the different drugs and the med gun, the paramed device. And basically, I think if Shadow Girl could give everyone a tip, it would be when you have a medic who knows what they're doing, don't use the med pens apart from the red one, and only use that if you are very close to death, and it's going to be what keeps you on your feet. Other than that, you let your medic deal with you, so that you don't get drugged and drunk and all that sort of stuff. Speaking of which, the drink of choice today, I don't know if this is appearing quite right, is Henley Weston's. It's a cider with a bit of a kick to it. It's like 8.2% or something. So cheers all. Thank you very much for joining us. And I'm looking forward to a great and actually quite a hype Sunday stream. But you might already know what I'm talking about. Thank you very much. I'm glad it did. Westerns, if you want to sponsor me, Brewdog's been dragging their heels, so someone share this to like Western's page or Brewdog's page. I could deal with sponsorship from either, you know. Admiral Groofus, good evening, bud. Good to see you. Shady Face, it's not a professional stream without scuff. I've already broken it. I broke the camera earlier. I changed the resolution because it was doing that weird thing where I was kind of like stuttering and doing all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, I think we fixed it. Macho, good evening, friend. Good to see you. Macho's been here since the very beginning of me streaming and making videos. You have comments, I think, on some of my earliest videos, so appreciate you, dude. It's good to see you. Yeah, so, do you know what? So here's an admission, right? Here's an interesting thing. I'm just going to shift this up a bit because I'm kind of lobotomizing myself on the camera. When Friday came around, Morphologist put a video out that said, really big update coming for Star Citizen. And internally, I kind of went, because you guys know me, right? You know that I'm not a fan of people hyping stuff unless we know pretty much for certain that it's coming in. And it worries me that people kind of talk about various bits and pieces and are maybe not quite as honest, maybe that's a good way to call it, as they could be about what's coming and what's going to happen and all that sort of stuff. Sorry, I'm just going to do this. Stream magic. Good evening, Notorious. Good to see you, my friend. So I was a little bit like, oh, not this again. Please stop doing this stuff. And then I watched Star Citizen Live on Friday. Who's seen it already? Who has watched the hour of Star Citizen Live on Friday? I'd be really interested to know. Well, what's really interesting dropped is we're just about to see that. No, this is really good. Stakaragord's seen it. Jadomo's seen it. Awesome. Zaveth has seen it. That's really, really cool. I went from being a little bit disappointed in Morph to completely seeing why he said what he said and why he titled the video the way he titled it. Because he's not wrong. So what I'm going to do, hopefully with you guys able to still see and hear what's going on, is I'm just going to change this over a little bit because I want to watch what's going on. It's going to do it weird because in the background I'm going to have my video, which will be weird because I'll be on the screen twice. It'll be like Badgerception, like there's two of me, and it'll be crazy. But this is really, really awesome. Hargrim, good evening, buddy. Good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. You haven't missed much. I've just been dribbling a little bit and, you know, having a little bit of a drink to get myself socially lubricated for the stream. YouTube's now just demonetized the video because I mentioned lubrication. But yes, Shadow, I've seen worse. All right, don't give my secrets away. Good Lord. You did, dropped. You did. So, let's have a look. Jedi Drifter, good evening, bud. This year looks to be an exciting one for SC. You are not wrong. So, what I want to do very quickly is I'm just going to have a look, because I've got to sort the frames out again, because it looks a little bit weird. Bonk, and then grab everything, and then drag that, and I'm really sorry, this is awful. This is all the stream magic that you're not seeing. You can't see a thing that I'm doing. But let's have a look whilst we're going. So this is just in the background. The video that I did before. I think hopefully the music's still the right level. Let me know if it starts to interfere. But they have now confirmed to us what they want to have in patch 3.23. And frankly, the list is incredible. So, Jock Cop, good to see you, bud. Welcome back. Haven't seen you in a while. I hope everything is all good with you. CIG woke up and chose violence. You're not kidding. I'll just pop the music up a little bit. Maybe that works? Question mark. There you go. So hopefully it's keeping itself behaved in the background. So they went through in 323 Star Citizen Live. They did something very different. So what they said was, rather than waiting until it comes out and then they do a video with Top Pappy and that, they were going to talk about it beforehand. And this, I think, speaks to how certain they are of what they're going to get into the game. Here's the list that I made of what they said, and I don't think I got everything. So if I forgot something, please add it. Here is the list of everything they say we are going to get in the game in 323. The first two won't be a surprise. EVA, not the fuel and character traversal, just the improved EVA, the lying down rather than the body stuff and the not knocking into everything, and the interaction experience. Okay, we are also going to get improved reloads, dynamic crosshairs on your visor, improved recoil system, and the scopes. The reloads are going to enable you to put your mags and consolidate everything, so you're not running around with 3 mags that are a quarter full. You'll be able to top them up. Okay. Improved visor and HUD with a mini-map in the corner, with your compass, with all the other information, with the medical stuff and that they showed at CitizenCon, right? We're also looking at master modes. Not confirmed whether it's every single ship, but master modes. Precision targeting. The fact that they are changing the way that gimbals works. Almost everything, including turrets, is getting gimbals. Because they decided that the whole, if you want a gimbal, you've got to go size down in weapon. They were saying that that was too confusing. So they've changed that everything's getting gimbals. There will be some things that won't. The nose gun on the Vanguard, for example. Clearly, the railgun on the Idris is not getting gimbals. Neither are the guns on the Ares. So if you're sat there going, how on earth is that going to be gimbaled? It probably won't be. But everything will be getting gimbals. Okay, other than that, we are getting the distribution facilities with missions and variations on layout, who owns them, their purpose, what you're going to be able to do there. That's coming as well. Alright? Star Map. Star Map is coming in the next one. Now, they have said that not all of the locations will be updated immediately. Certainly not with the ships, because obviously every single location needs to be marked up. But the general improvements from the Star Map will happen. Craziness. The character customizer. I know certain people, Scarlet, will be very excited for the character customizer, with the DNA morphing, being able to take 2 faces and take features across, with the hair and everything else that they showed us. The loot system. This stuff, that is coming too. They're going to be giving us the cargo elevators. Now, the inventory system, as we know it. This is where it gets weird, because there's 2 of us at the same time. I don't know why I'm itching my beard. Star beard, question mark. So, yeah. So you've got cargo elevators, the inventory system. You will now go to your freight elevator, and you will demand from it that it gives you the stuff that you would normally take out of your inventory. That will come up in the freight elevator into your own instanced hangar, and you will take your items from there. With a whole new HUD, it will show you how full the elevator is. You'll need to transfer all that to your ship or to your personal inventory, all that sort of good stuff. There will also be a new shopping app in the Mobiglass that they're going to show in a couple of weeks. The cargo elevators will also bring this hover thingy majigger. That's coming. That's going to be working as well, as it shows on the screen. We're also getting a massively expanded Xeno threat with a pre-Xeno threat event, which looks like it's going to land before 323. So that'll be a 2-2 point patch. They're expanding the scope of Xeno threat, not just the battles. It looks like there's going to be lots of other things going on we are also getting Blockade Runner. Okay, so what used to be the old Ninetales lockdown that they talked about last year, that is being expanded and included in 323. Which I think is about, it's probably over half of what they talked about at CitizenCon, right? In terms of numbers of items. Of course, this isn't the amount of work. I'm sorry, guys, I'm just going to have to... I need to monitor this slightly differently. I need to get rid of that. Sorry, my bad. There we go. Because it's far too loud in my headset. I can't hear myself think. It's crazy. Right. Hey, Napo. Everyone say congratulations to Napo. Napo is a very good friend of mine in real life. He lives nearby, and he now has a new addition to the family. There's a young Napo, a mini Napo, who will be taller than him, I'm sure, in about 3 minutes. But yeah, really good. Congratulations, dude. Hello, Demir. Good to see you, bud. Haven't seen you in a while. S-Backs. Tell him about the Twinkie. Oh, God. What did I miss about the Twinkie? What happened? Mini Napo. Yes, as if it was, you know, not scary enough already. There is now a smaller Napo. Absolutely crazy things going on. Like I said, in terms of, I think, numbers of items that they talked about at CitizenCon, they've given us almost half of it. We're clearly not getting atmospheric flight just yet, and a few of the other bits. But yeah, the game is going to feel really different next patch. They haven't given us a date yet, unsurprisingly. You know, they've said that they're going to be talking about things over the next 8, 9, 10 weeks. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're waiting 8, 9, 10 weeks for the next patch, or that it's going to be with us in 10 weeks. It just means that they've obviously got weeks and weeks of content to talk about at Star Citizen Live and inside Star Citizen. So, yeah. Gerben, Napo is Dave BH, Mini Dave. So yeah, yeah. And Napo, just in case you haven't twigged, German is Rich from work, Rich Allen. So yeah, yeah. It's really cool. The future bug, says Shadow Girl. Forever the optimist. But yeah, really cool. Hopefully, the real life has been busy as hell trying to keep up with the news. Demir, I will do my level best, my friend, to keep you abreast of that in these 2-hour streams that we have together on Sundays. Yeah, really cool. It's absolutely crazy that they've managed to fit so much in. So if you remember, we spoke about this kind of like at the end of last year. And one of the things that I said I was really interested to figure out from them, I don't know why, I'll just stop doing stupid things, camera. One of the things that was really interesting was how quickly the Star Citizen team and the Squadron 42 team were going to integrate, and how quickly they were going to have an impact on the rate of stuff that's going to be moved across. And the answer, apparently, is really quickly. Right? So that's kind of a little bit crazy. Just while that's going on, I'm now going to switch us over to this one, just so we can see that playing in the background, because I know that there's a big talking bit in that video coming up, and it's just going to freak me out if there's 2 of me on screen. It might freak you guys out as well, right? So crazy. A lot of reasons to be optimistic. Now, of course, this all comes with the caveat of, maybe it's not all going to appear at the same time. There's always the chance that things will drop out. But it's looking very positive, and they managed to fit that much stuff into one patch. This is going to be a good year for Star Citizen. It was frankly jaw-dropping that they were willing to do that, and you can kind of see now. I know Jared's job is to drum up support and hype around the project. But there was a bit where he talked about how this feels different and this is going to be a good year. And I genuinely think that he was speaking as he found in that, and that's how excited he is. And I think they've realised that there's going to be a step change. So they've obviously got all these features that work in single player of Squadron 42. They need to port it into the multiplayer of Star Citizen. That's going to bring its own challenges. Not everything's going to be quick. There's going to be unforeseen stuff. But so much of what they've brought across looks like it's going to be relatively simple to implement, which is really encouraging. But yeah, crazy. Did I miss anything? Those in the list. Did I miss anything? Let me know. New weapon and weapon attachment interactions. Yes, done it. Absolutely. I think we mentioned scopes, but yes. What else have we got in there? Macho says, am I still one of the few people who thinks that the Polaris is coming with Invictus? It certainly makes sense that is something that, if they're going to introduce it, it's going to be that, or it's going to be like the Expo. It seems, but yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day they'll release it when it's ready. But Invictus seems like a really good time to gun for Match. Yeah, 100%. Shadowgirl says the improved movement with ladders is coming. Absolutely. I gotta say this though, not too keen on the gamble business. Sorry, the gimbal business. I think they got to do that system better. Possibly. I guess I'm just kind of looking at stupid autocorrect. Yeah, foiled by the autocorrect, 100%. I know about the EVA changes. Has there been any news about changes to player movement on the ground? So I don't think there's anything over and above what they're doing, but I think, interestingly, one of the things that they're doing, they're introducing, is a race system of people on foot, which is going to make heavy use of the mantling system that we already use to do things like escape from prison and so on and so forth. But yeah, what's really interesting is, and the reason I titled the video or the stream the way I titled it is up yours, doubters, right? The whole, all the comments after CitizenCon, all I saw was a video with another set of promises. Part in the first patch bodes really, really well for the rest of the year. Now, if are we back? Is that a thing? Let me know when I'm back. My hub just crapped itself. Sorry about that. Hi. I just sat here and necked one of these, so this is number 2. Do you know what? I've said a couple of times out of the stream, I'm really surprised my ISP has survived so many streams. Fuck you, Sky. Fuck you. But yeah. So yeah, I turned the sound up a little bit. I'll knock the sound back down. Hopefully that's that. Yeah. Yeah. That. Yeah, YouTube's just like, no, that's it. Too much. Wait, you're talking positively about Star Citizen? Absolutely not. We can't have that. Screw that. Just... I don't even know where we got to. That's it. I'm lost. Somebody help me out. Where did I disconnect? What was I talking about? I don't remember. Yeah, sorry, Stakaragod. That was absolutely my end. That wasn't anything that happened with you guys. Which is a shame, because now we've dropped a crap ton of viewers according to Steam, according to YouTube. But never mind. Thank you for those that bear with it. If you've been here any length of time at all, you know that tech issues are just like, that's a fact of life. And I say tech issues, what I actually mean is I'm really good at muting myself or not having the right screen on, or I'm talking about what's on the screen and you're not seeing this one, you're seeing the one of just my face, or, you know, that sort of stuff, right? Yay. I was talking about how great you all are. Well, you are great. And I appreciate each and every one of you. You are absolutely... In fact, no, let's do that again. Come here. You're all awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. Eh? So yeah, we can go back to that now. Ta-da! Yeah, so that's it. But yes, not good for the algorithm. Drops, you know, there we go. But, you know, back, right? I don't know why I did that. If you clip that, I will fight all of you. But yeah. But yes. So, yeah. There's obviously, you know, I think one of the things to bear in mind now, because I'm always about the balance in stuff. So, one of the things... Thanks, Blizzard. Cheers. Like, just pop up. If you want to show everyone my password to my Blizzard account too, like, just fucking go ahead. Honestly. Just, but yes. So... negative somewhere after sitcom. Thank you, Stakaragood. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah. It's that sort of stuff. People have been negative, and you know they were saying about how it was just another bunch of promises. Well, it's not anymore because they're delivering it, and sure, it might get delayed a patch or two. Some of it, but for them to come out now ahead of time and choose this moment, they were going to wait to do that until they were pretty sure of delivering everything that they're talking about delivering. And what's really interesting is that question that I had about how quickly are those teams going to interact. This is the answer. Now, it's likely that after this initial bump in productivity, there'll be a slight lull, and it won't be as bad as what we're used to, but it won't be quite as fast, because what they have is they have this big stack of stuff they want to carry over to Squadron. So they already know what it's going to look like, they know the effect that they want, it's all gone through all the approval channels. All they're doing is going, right, you see all this stuff, put that in that. Put the single player stuff in the multiplayer. And that's going to be quite quick. There will be a slight slowdown. Having said that, that'll be massively offset by the fact that they'll be able to deal with so much more stuff at once. So that's really exciting. The typical "it's a scam" from Zavith. Yeah, absolutely. Demir says, "Isn't the new star map coming on 3.23 next patch? Star map. Not all of the locations will be marked up in terms of being able to see absolutely everything there, like terminals and all that sort of stuff. Because obviously, with all the locations that we have, including the derelict outposts and the now not so derelict outposts, there's a lot of work to do, a backlog for them to work through. But it's coming in the next patch. Just the ability to do that stuff, and then later on they're adding the ability to add waypoints, to being able to order them, being able to give them different tags, so you can go, I want to see the waypoints that are places that I can sell illegal goods, and that sort of stuff. So that's going to be kind of crazy. Yeah. Judomo says you also have to consider some of the complete assets they have from Squadron 42. Yeah, so that exactly as we've just been saying, right? That those assets that are coming across are ready, they're all good to go. Again, it's just about making stuff that works in single player, in multiplayer, which isn't always as simple as it sounds. But I must admit, starting this year, I was cautiously optimistic, but I knew I wasn't going to get hyped. And like I said, my actual initial reaction to Morphologist's title on this video was a little bit negative. And now, seeing what they've just done and what they've told us, I gotta say, 3.23 is going to be a hell of a patch. Macho says, I don't even try to convince the people who yell scam and don't even and haven't even tried the free flight. Yep, absolutely. Drop Yogurt says, I don't think every location should have a waypoint. Drug houses shouldn't be known by everyone. Yeah, 100%. And I think what's likely is when the game comes out, you know, and we're much more developed, systems, you're going to go to a system and you're going to know maybe where all the planets are and all of the major landing zones. And then if you go there, there'll be guides who will, you know, or you'll be able to download a map which gives you a little bit more. So, like, you can go to Microtech, and all those Microtech-style facilities on its moons and stuff, you can download that, and it gives you a little bit more granularity. But going to Hurston aren't going to know the locations of all the rebels on Hurston, the people who don't appreciate it and are setting up their own little hidden bases. So now you've got to go and get rep with them, and they're not going to give you all the locations, because they're not going to do that to just anyone who walks in. Because you might, you know, you might be an agent of Hurston, right? So that's kind of cool as well. There's a lot of that sort of stuff. Stakara says, Star Map is much needed, but I wonder where multiplayer ship stuff is. Bedlog, buy-sell cargo with crew on board, that sort of stuff. Not sure. You know, in terms of the bedlogging, you know, I know that kind of got a little bit better with persistent entity streaming for a while, but yeah, they've got the backlog, right? Morph also believed a long time ago that Crusader wouldn't make it in, so I wouldn't put that much stock in what he says. Yeah, 100%. Look, Morph's very good at what he does. I don't want to take anything away from him. There was one video he did on when they did the changes to PTU access, where only those that were at the really high level were going to get Wave 1, and so on and so forth. You know, and the title of his video or something was like that was $25,000 to access PTU, and it's not true. It's not the whole story, at least wise, right? There's loads of people that will get PTU access for free in Wave 1 because they play the most. So it was a little bit like, I'm going to go for the sensationist thing. And I must admit, I made the assumption with this video and thought that's what he was going to do again. That was wrong. I was wrong. I'm not saying that any of that is right. He has every reason to be putting out videos about how good this next patch is, based on what I've seen this afternoon from CIG. This video above my head, I will endeavour to put a link in the description. I don't have it at the minute, but it's easy. It's the most recent Star Citizen live, right? So yeah, best patch ever, right? Was there a patch that had more content than this one? Zaveth, I think for those of us that have been playing the game, this is easily the best patch ever. Because it brings all those quality of life improvements we've been bitching about forever. In terms of new players, you've got the distribution centers, which is the new content. You've got updated content, which is Xenothreat, and the Blockade Runner. But this is certainly, you know, for us, I think it is a huge content-rich patch, or a feature-rich patch, shall we say. If you fill out enough issue council reports, you can get in before Wave 1. Yeah, into Evo County and absolutely that stuff. Shedigo says, that makes sense, but we need them to get into a good rhythm with making systems. Yeah, 100%. And that's going to be the challenge, right? Is they get all this stuff that they're porting across from Squadron 42. That's going to go into the game. And then there's going to be the pre-made stuff is in. Now we need to turn our hands to making the new stuff. And hopefully what they're doing at the moment is they are balancing that out. So everyone's coming across. Some of them are porting in this stuff. Some of them are working the new stuff. So once all this is in over the next 6, 9, 12 months, they'll have a stack of things that they want to include. But I think what we can take from this, the pace of production with Star Citizen is going to increase significantly, because that was a surprise. How do you guys feel? I feel like that was a very quick turnaround on a lot of those features. Notorious says, I'm glad it's here. I would imagine it would have been the easiest thing to drip feed this over time to prolong hype for sales. Yeah, absolutely. You know, they could have held all of this back and just made people, you know, wait and gone, well, we're not sure about our ability to bring new stuff in, so let's not give them everything at once. This is a real statement of confidence from them, I think. And I know we've had that before, and we've been burnt, and of course that's always in the back of everyone's minds, no matter how optimistic you want to be. I think there's always that, well, it might not happen like they say, but that's just common sense for a game that's in live development. So I don't think there's anything wrong with thinking that, and I don't think it should hurt anyone's hype to bear that in mind, because the worst thing is, as I forget who said it earlier, someone said it much earlier about Starfield, right? Someone said with Starfield that was the wrong type of hype, and they were entirely correct. So yeah, 100%. Stunner says, much earlier he said, I don't think we fully understand the increase in dev power being used on Star Citizen yet. Yeah, I agree 100%. That's it. So yeah, forgive but never forget. It's words to live by. Zaveth, the dollar to AUC ratios are going to be changing. A lot of people are going to be reassessing their fleet. Yes, absolutely, and that's one of the other things, right? Is the economy changes, so ship prices are going to change. So, just off the top of my head from the video that I watched today, the CAR Pisces, the medical Pisces, is going to drop to about 500,000 UEC, AUEC. The Connie is going to be about 5 mil. The Arrow is going to be 2 mil. The 890 Jumper is going to be 70 to 80 mil, something like that. And this is just a fast pass balance, but no doubt it's partially brought in to redress the amount of money people are making from things like salvage at the moment. But yeah, like the spacing out at the minute, because I think Edison, when he was, that was you, was it, Macho? Yeah, 100% the wrong type of hype, right? Or hype where people were determined that was going to happen and no one could tell them otherwise, and that's just a road to disaster. Origin owners rejoice. Yeah, so sorry, that's pretty loud music in my headset. Hopefully it's not bothering you guys too much, but it will knock it down a little. Yeah, so it's delusion hype, 100%, Notorious. That's exactly what it is. It's people convincing themselves that things have been said that haven't. The F8C is a really good Star Citizen example. Yes, they said on a number of occasions they weren't going to sell it. They said on an equal number of occasions that they were. So to say that they categorically promised that they wouldn't was misleading, because they also said that they were going to sell it, or they said, sorry, that they were never going to rule it out. Which means that, you know, if you can't listen to one side and ignore the other side when they both come from the same source. That's a bit weird. So this happens a lot. It happens in this game. So a really good example is the master modes. What they haven't said is how well or how much of it's going to be implemented into the game, into the persistent universe, whether it's going to be all ships or not. To the best of my knowledge, they did not say that in that video, and I listened through it twice, that particular section, just to make sure I had it. They said they're working hard on converting all the ships, which is not the same as all the ships will be ready for 323. So yeah, an interesting one. Judomo says, I think this shows a lot of confidence in them, from them in the systems that have held these issues back, such as PES and server meshing. Yeah, and you know, another element of this is that this is unfortunate for a lot of us, but it's just the reality, is a lot of these things are easy to implement, like the compass, like the helmet, like the reloads, the scopes. All of that is easy to implement, but they wanted to get it done with Squadron 42 so they knew what it was going to look like before they ported it across, because it was a conservation of effort thing. You know you have to do that to release it for Squadron 42. To double up and do that in multiplayer as well at the same time, it's a very strong argument that that's a waste of resources. So they've done it for Squadron 42, and I know people will say, and someone will always say, I don't care about Squadron 42. And I understand that not everyone is going to want to play, is interested in Squadron 42. And, you know, if that's you, then fine. You shouldn't be interested in it if it's not the sort of thing you're going to enjoy. But they are, because they're developing it. And it's them that had to decide this stuff, right? So, yeah. It'll be interesting. If I had to guess what one surprise will be in 323, quantum jump mechanic, that would be very cool. The new quantum jump mechanic does look absolutely amazing. I'm going to go back to chat quickly, because then I can go and find that video and we can have a look, and that'll be very cool. But yeah, it's a really, really interesting set of decisions. It's a really interesting content list for a patch. It's kind of crazy. New expanded Xeno threat. You've got to think that with things like the Polaris coming, that's going to change the nature of Xeno threat, right? Because now you've got something that can quite comfortably go and take on an Idris. So maybe that's what they're changing. Maybe they're making the fleet combat side of it a lot more involved. Maybe they're changing it so that the number of reinforcements and the type of ships that you fight are related to how many people are there fighting, so it kind of scales with how many players are involved. There's so many things that they could do, extra bits they can add, all that sort of interesting good stuff. Yeah, there's stacks. Really cool. Zava says, my main concern is the upcoming bug fixing, as so many new systems are being introduced at once. Hopefully it's mostly worked out by now. Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of this stuff is just improving systems that are already existing, so hopefully the bugs will be minimal. But of course, that's what they're going to be trying very hard over the next kind of couple of weeks, next couple of months to sort out for us. Ape in Space, great name, Ape. I like that a lot. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad I already own different ships to be able to do any job in game, plus my luxury ships. Very nice. What sort of jobs are you interested in doing? What are your like industry areas or combat areas that you're really interested in? But yeah, absolutely. The ones that we buy in game, obviously, that's a really good heads up that if there are stuff that you want to buy in game, and you reckon you can make it before next patch, then do it, because the prices are going to change. A lot of it looks like it's going to go up, especially for the larger ships. So if you can, do. So yeah, you're right, I did knock the volume up while I was waiting, so hopefully... Yeah, it's the music going up, I'm afraid. It's just really loud. Hopefully that's fixed it a little. Let me know if that is not enough, and I will fix it again. But hopefully that's knocked it into touch, right? But thank you for the heads up. It's helpful, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah. So there's all that stuff. Your call is important to us, and you are held in a queue. Oh God, yeah. I answered the call and then I held the line. What's next? Hang up? Lol. Rude. Yes, the Caragord says, if we get a new star map, you would think we need the new quantum jump mechanics as well. Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's mainly a visual skin at the moment, so I think it's entirely possible you get one without the other. But I'm sure, there's a few things I said, we're not going to tell you about them. You're just going to have to discover them in game. They're not telling us about Xeno threat. We're going to have to figure it out. They said that explicitly in that stream. We're not going to do a video on what's the changes are with Xeno threat initially. You guys are going to play it and figure it out. So that's cool. Drop says, no biggie badges. I watched an entire stream of you fixing your mic. I feel like you know that because that's basically what's happened in the past. Whereas I've, had to fix thing after thing and camera switching itself off and all sorts of nonsense. But, I mean, it's just another Badger production, right? It's if everything went right, you'd be wondering who replaced me. Ape in Space says, cargo, mining, and trying to learn my new sticks so I can get into racing. Ooh, what sticks did you go for, bud? Nice. But yeah, cargo, lots of stuff coming for that in the new patch. And mining, obviously, with the Arastra and stuff, that's looking good. And, of course, one of the most fleshed out loops in the game we have, apart from combat. If they don't tell us what the changes are, we might just assume bugs are changed and complain less. I mean, possibly. Illuminati symbol. Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. Thanks, Dropped. Zava says you may want to look into audio compression. It raises up the low volume and lowers the high volume. You can save that version of the song so that it's better leveled. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll have a look. I've got to be careful, I think, with what I do with their music. I'll have to check their thingy agreement. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure they won't mind. But yeah. And then Ape in Space, VKBs, nice, dude, awesome. Hopefully that's going well for you. I think German said at one stage that I might be able to borrow his sticks and give a dual stick setup a go. But whichever way, I think I'll end up with sticks and pedals, ideally, because then it means I can also turn one of the sticks from vertical to horizontal, and fly as if I was in a helicopter when I do things like armor, because then the horizontal stick is the collective pull up for more power, push down for less, that sort of stuff. And then pedals to control the yaw. So yeah, I'd want it to fulfill both purposes. But yeah, yeah, VKB says Zavath, seconded, great sticks. They look really, really good. And as Shadow Girl will be able to tell you, at great length we've talked about sticks, and my problem is I want the shiny. So like I really like the look of the Warthog stick and the Viper stick that come from Thrustmaster, the ones that are almost complete production replicas of those actual working sticks and stuff, which is bad because the Warthog one doesn't twist to give you yaw, because the real Warthog one doesn't twist. So they might not be optimal, but that doesn't mean they don't look date sexy. So I mean, yeah, the common sense versus, you know, what looks shiny. Posh Bird is our badger's expensive taste. Yes, yes, I am. I am a posh bird, or a posh badger, even. So yeah, really exciting seeing what's coming in 323, and I'm really looking forward to. If you're not in the Discord already, I don't think I've put a link in. So I tell you what I will do right now is I will create a link and pop it in chat to the server. You are more than welcome to come and join. If you are in here, you are welcome in Discord. Just let me know when you're in, because initially you will not see everything because you don't have the right role. But if you want to come to the Discord, and then when things like Xenothreat and Blockade Runner come out, I'll try to give people as much notice as I can to get a group of us together and go and play. Hopefully, Stakarago, Jadomo want to come back for the next one, as would everyone else. But yeah, I mean, we got, I think, 8, 9 people at one stage running around shooting stuff. We even picked up a couple of randoms that we went to rescue. So that was really cool. Shoo, I want those scorpion-looking computer chair setups. Yeah, absolutely. Guys obsessed with having the biggest, best sticks. Well, yes, absolutely. When you have the biggest, best stick, of course you'll be obsessed with it. Also, don't listen to me. Chidomo and Skaragod. Great. I'm really glad people enjoyed it. And one of the things that I'm really kind of keen to do in the future is bring a little bit of the military experience that I have and kind of try and incorporate that into the way we game without making it boring, or without people having to attend a whole training package just to come out and not get shot in the face. So yeah, there was a couple of things we did. We just sorted out how we were going to do elevators and how we were going to clear buildings, and I think it worked really well. After the first 5 or 10 minutes, you know, we stopped shooting each other in the back, which was really good. Yeah, we even, I think, avoided friendly fire with things like grenade launchers, which is an achievement in and of itself in Star Citizen. So, Drop said, if you haven't rolled badges and the gang, you're missing out. 100%. Really good people in there. Some great pilots, as we said, great medic. Really good fun. And lots of inappropriate chat as well. If you are of the sensitive disposition, you might want to not want to listen to us while you're playing, because some of the jokes are a little bit close to the edge. But again, we don't mean anything by it. It's just, you know, trying to get a giggle or three. And you know, if you want to come along and drink, then that's pretty much mandatory. Um, You didn't all get grenaded before you got off the shuttle. Not this time. I think because there was so many of us in the shuttle that people thought better of it. We kind of got there with 2 others that weren't in our group, and I think they kind of looked and went, we'll just get overwhelmed if we try and fight this lot, so no. So that was cool. Not sure about the music on the last barge, though, said Janome. Yeah, so one of the things that I did is every time we got on a shuttle, just like when I play Armour, I changed the music to something. So we had a bunch of like Vietnam music and like war music and all that sort of stuff. And then on the last one, I think I played Electric Six and Gay Bar. And there was a noticeably different reception on board. I think everyone got a little bit confused, but you know, whatever. It's fine. It's good fun. We did get some really good video and some quite funny moments. Unfortunately, I don't think there's enough for a video because, of course, the video's not just for us, it's for everyone that's looking into Star Citizen. And we didn't really, apart from on the barge, we caught one of the lieutenants in the docking ring. We didn't really get the lieutenants. We didn't get many of them. So I'll keep the footage, and hopefully on the next one I can do kind of a mishmash of the two. And at some point we will absolutely put it out that there is, you know, we'll put out some sort of community gameplay video. Unfortunately, just for the moment, it's looking unlikely to happen this time around the Siege of Origin because it ends tomorrow about 6 PM UK time. So, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have the time to complete that, which is a shame, but it was really, really good fun playing with everyone. Yeah, Genomo, absolutely. I played that bit of music and there was nothing. When I played the other stuff, everyone was like, yeah, this is cool. And then there was just nothing. Candy's dandy, but liquor's quicker. Sir, you are not wrong. Absolutely. Mad Teapot, hello, bud. Good to see you. Welcome back. The best music for fighting is Bob Marley. Yeah, 100%. I mean, there is absolute loads of music that's really good for fighting. Unfortunately, so much of it I cannot play because I don't have the license to play it, which is a bit rubbish. But yeah. I don't know if that's playing or not. Hopefully that works okay. But yeah. Is that alright for everyone? Let me know with the music. Hopefully that's okay. Hopefully we're there. So yeah. Volume is good. Good. Yeah, oh yes, that's right. And then we got in the ship as Scarlet was flying us over, playing Danger Zone. So yeah, all that sort of stuff. It's good fun, and we try to make it as much fun as possible. And of course, I play a lot of Armour. I'm really tempted to do a couple of Armour streams, just to show people what coordinated gameplay with a large number of people looks like. When you're doing kind of combat, it's combined arms. You call in airstrikes from other players, and they actually fly the planes that do the airstrikes. You call in artillery, you call in UAV support, armor support. Players fly you to and from the missions. It's basically the only NPCs that are in the game are the ones you're fighting. So yeah, something like that might be a really good comparison for Star Citizen. I prefer either speed metal or some hardcore hip hop before a fight. Interesting. What is speed metal? Give me a really good example of some speed metal dropped, and I'll have a listen after the stream so that, you know, someone doesn't copy strike me. But yes. Wait, Shadow Girl, did you just pull out some Top Gun? Yeah, Shadow Girls are resident pilots, so that's why I felt confident playing Top Gun when she got into the plane, because I knew the music wouldn't be disappointing. Unfortunately, although she got us there, the turrets took exception to her really good flying and decided that when she stopped, they weren't even going to give her a chance to get out of the pilot seat. They just blew her to pieces. So we were hoping that we'd get in the right place. But yeah, Shadow Girl, unfortunately, was a casualty, got blown off the platform, and we didn't catch her in time. So, don't. Mr. E, good evening, bud. Good to see you. We are just talking a little bit of hype for 323. And just for those that have come back or joined the stream since we started, I'm just going to go again through the list of stuff coming in 323. EVA, player interaction, menus and stuff, reloads, crosshairs, recoil and scopes for first-person shooting, visor and HUD displays, master modes, precision targeting, gimbals, distribution facilities, including a range of different ones and the missions. The biggest things in Star Citizen, aside from the landing zones themselves, the star map, character customizer, cargo elevators and our own instance hangars, Xeno threat, massively expanded with its own pre-event and an updated blockade runner event, the loot menus and stuff, a shopping app, and a rework of the prices of ships. All coming in the next patch, according to Star Citizen Live. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's a really good year to be a Star Citizen backer or someone that's interested in it. You know, and if that's you, if you're interested in it, I will say what I always say to people who are thinking about this game: do a free fly first. Don't throw cash at this game without knowing that it's something that you want to play, and without knowing that it's buggy and broken and it's going to piss you off sometimes. If that doesn't sound like your thing, wait until later, until it's far more advanced. Wu-Tang Clan is also good for a battle mentality assist dropped. Awesome, I'll bear it in mind. I'll have a look. I know who Wu-Tang are, so I shall have a listen. But that's I now know what you're talking about. I was feeling my age there, mate. I thought you were rubbing it in that I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm not down with the kids. I don't know this music. Where's my country and western and my, you know, old man cup of tea or bottle of cider or whatever. What's been my experience on master modes, mate? Zavith, I've been waiting until they get into the PU. I'm not a massive fan of Arena Commander at the moment, although that will change with everything that they put in. I want to learn the racetracks on there and stuff. I should get in there and give it a go. What I'm really looking forward to doing is some resource management Arena Commander multi-crew. So I really want to give that a go. When that happens, I'm like all over it. When they've got that in, we're going to give it a go. And we're gonna see. What I find will be a really interesting question for you guys to have a think about is, now that we have all of these features coming into the game for 323, if you had to guess, what are we going to get in 24? What do you think is are gonna be the features? Yeah, and while you're thinking about that, I'll just continue on a little bit with Zavith's question, because I realise that's a very big question and I didn't give you a very good answer to it. But unfortunately, there's not much more I can add to it, because, you know, like I said, I've just not really engaged with it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And one of the things that I took from what they said about Star Citizen Live, one of the things they said in that was that the need for master modes has come from them playtesting. So all these problems they had about players jousting each other and, you know, they just fly at each other, turn around, fly back again, because of the speed management, that is something that they've been trying to fix for a while, and master modes is the answer. One of the things that they said is that when they do it now, all the ships stick together. You know, they said they've got all these VFX for ships. It looks great when they're firing at each other, but you never see it because you're at 700, 800, 1,000 meters away from each other half the time. You're never close enough. Whereas now with master modes, when they've been playtesting it, everything's been much closer. It's all been a bit more visceral, the combat, or visceral even. So yeah, it's looking good, mate, I think. But they have said that they want our feedback. So I think the best thing we can do is go online once we've had a go playing it and say what you like and what you don't. And it's really important to say what you like. Spectrum is a cesspit of people whinging at the minute. And one of the ways you change that is by going on and also praising the stuff that you like. Also talking about you know, everything that you think that they've included that's really good. Because if all they have is people whinging about something, they don't have any of the good stuff, they're likely to change it. Whereas if they get tons of positive feedback, the few whingers will just have to suck it up. And that's quite key, I think. The other thing is phrasing stuff where it's not great is don't phrase it like an asshole, because they'll ignore you. It's, you know, here's the problem, maybe it'd be better if you did this, or maybe it'd be better if you did that, or, you know, this is the effect you want to achieve, and this is why it's not achieving that. You know, it's common sense, and most of us in here will know this already. I'm kind of not saying anything that's going to be obvious to most of us, but the thing is with games, especially games like this, is we get really passionate about it, and sometimes we forget ourselves. And yeah, it's like anything. If you want to take them, if they want people to take it seriously, make a case. Don't just expect people to listen to you because you've got something to say. I think we're actually going to get Pyro this year, says Dropped. I feel it in my bones and my booty. Interesting. What does Pyro in your booty feel like? That's a little bit worrying. There are creams for that. Sorry, dude. I'm only funning, you know that. But yeah, like Pyro, they've said middle of the year. They said they were aiming for end of Q2, beginning of Q3. That's June, right? I'm confident they'll hit it. Quietly confident they'll hit it. It'd be bad if they don't. So Zavith says 324 atmospheric flight, nice. Space cows, moo. Better PES, pyro, and a lot more polish. Yeah, I think most of that I'm on board with. The polish thing I still think is, you know, you can't. I was gonna say you can't polish a turd. That might be a little bit unfair, but I still think it's like trying to hoover a house that's being built before you even put the windows in. It's just crazy. But certainly things that make it easier for us, and like Star Map. You know, Star Map isn't necessarily polish, it's just a better functioning system. So that sort of stuff, 100%. Jadomo says it's going to be tricky to please everyone with master modes, but it does need to change at the moment. You control a heavy fighter with a Razor, which shouldn't be right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Razor maybe can outpace and outrun the heavy fighter, but in a fight that shouldn't be a thing. Mad Teapot, with master modes, I hope they up the SCM speed of the Reclaimer to stop it falling out of the sky. That'd be useful, absolutely. Again, atmospheric flight will hopefully have some sort of say in that as well. Ape in Space says, I wonder with master modes, will we be forced to battle if we get pirated? If I'm doing cargo and start getting shot at, will I be able to run? Yeah, I think a lot of the stuff with running will depend on like the loadout that they come with. So obviously things like quantum snares, enforcement devices, all that sort of stuff is obviously going to make it much harder for you to run. But in terms of the cargo, without that, I think so. You know, the whole point, especially the larger cargoes, that sort of being able to change over, yeah, you're going to take some damage, but hopefully the larger ones will have some sort of offset to that with their hit pools and stuff. The key thing there, I think, with cargoes is sticking to safe routes, having maybe an escort, but if you don't want to have an escort, it's about choosing the way you want to go, right? Because they've got to find you in space. Like right now, if you logged into Stanton, and I was going to come in and find you, and you go, cool, find them somewhere in Stanton. I mean, good luck with that, right? And remembering at the moment as well, something else that is very apparent, there are no NPC ships. So the only time you engage with another ship is when there's a human at the helm, there's the player at the helm, right? Whereas later on there won't be, there are lots of NPC ships as well. And I think one of the things they need to do with NPC ships is they need to give us the ability to have a full name, right? Because at the moment, MILF Hunter 69, it's really obvious that that person is a player, right? If you call yourself, I don't know, Addison Cross, 2 words, now you're almost indistinguishable from NPCs. Now we really don't know if you're a player or not. Okay, and of course there'll be lots of people who won't want to call themselves something like that, but you know, for role players or for people who want to blend in and avoid combat, that's a really good way of going about it. And then you're never quite sure if the person you're attacking is a player or not, and that works. So yeah, some chat about the Reclaimer and all that sort of stuff, or the Redeemer rather. So yeah, sorry. So the Reclaimer thing, I think I'm kind of hoping a little bit of the ships will go more that way. Interestingly, Teapot, just to talk about it. Just very quickly, Retina, good to see you, my friend. Welcome in. Good to see you. So the reason I say it is this, right? At the moment, there is absolutely no satisfaction landing anything, right? Like a hammerhead, landing it, meh. Right? Anything big, landing an 890 jump, meh. The only time you get satisfaction is when it's damaged and it's tough to land and you put it down and you don't explode and you go, whoop. The Reclaimer has been the only ship I've ever had any satisfaction landing, because getting it into Atmo felt like it was a massive exercise in just controlled falling, and what I was trying to do was basically stop it from falling out of the sky, which is, when you think about it, a ship that big, that kind of makes sense, right? That it shouldn't just be able to hang there. It should be an absolute pig to fly. Otherwise, the pilot role, like there's no such thing as good pilots in terms of landing and taking off and that sort of stuff. It just comes to whether or not you can fight people. Whereas actually, that's not the case. And I know from handling ships in a harbour and in restrained waters that actually there's a massive skill difference in being able to take something big in a confined space or in a challenging space and being able to get it to move as you want it to. Landing planes in armour, to go back to that, getting a plane down, even when you're not damaged, feels like an achievement, because you've got to set your flaps, you've got to come in a decent speed. You come in too fast, you're going to trash your landing gear. You come in too slow, you drop out of the sky, you explode. So that sort of thing, I'm not suggesting for a second that it shouldn't be unrecoverable, but a pilot landing a Reclaimer or a big ship, like a Polaris, like a Hammerhead, like an, insert random big ship here, it should take their attention. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't just be, oh, I'll take off cruise control, and I know I'll come to a stop before I hit the ground, so I'm just gonna go make some food and come back. It shouldn't be like that. It should be like when pilots land, they don't get up halfway through landing to go to the loo. It's a sit down, focus, do it. So yeah, I think it's that sort of stuff. Hopefully that's not upsetting too much, but yes, some sort of balance. When I managed to pull off a good landing today, it was a sense of achievement. Yeah, absolutely. Was that in the Reclaimer, Teapot? Hopefully it was. Shadow Girl says, the atmospheric flight control surfaces will be amazing for satisfaction in general. Yeah, 100%. Being able to land, stall, kind of glide in, all that sort of stuff is going to be really, really good. And having that reflect the type of hull that you're in. For example, something like the C2 being far more manoeuvrable and able to glide than the Caterpillar, which is, let's face it, a flying rectangle. Yeah, that sort of stuff makes sense, right? So, Retina says, agreed, I'm really looking forward to better Atmo flying overall. I do a lot of flight singing, so it'll be familiar enough for me. Yeah, 100%. It will become harder, says Shadow Girl, but also with more rules of movement, that adds the satisfaction. And Gidomo says, I think once they rework the hover mechanics, it will become more challenging. Yeah, so those that, didn't see at CitizenCon, your ship is not just going to hover forever, even in VTOL mode. VTOL mode will add a lot more time to the amount of time you can hover, but basically, ships don't like hovering. It works the engines more than any other type of flight. So there will be a point at which your thrusters will start to burn out, overheat, and then you start to drop out of the sky. So going into hover is going to be a decision as to how close to the ground you are and that sort of stuff. So that, I think, works. Notorious says there should be an element of skill, even if a small one. Yeah, 100%. And you would think, right, for being the most detailed game about space and the most immersive, it makes sense that spaceships aren't just easy to fly. There should be stall distances. There should be points at which if you point up past a certain point, you start losing speed because now the weight of the ship, your thrusters can't interact it. So some ships will be coming at atmo at an angle and all that sort of stuff. It's just basic. It makes sense, right? Until you can get high enough to quantum, and then it doesn't matter. It's fun when the reclaimer becomes unrecoverable and you're watching it from a distance. Yes, a lot less fun when you're sat in the cockpit. Can you imagine coming in hot in a Kraken? I mean, every ship can come in hot once, right? It's whether or not it survives for a second go. Zava says, agreed. I hope we'll be challenged by the momentum proportional to the mass of the ships. Yep. Retina, yeah, I'd hate to be the pilot on that one. Teapot says yes, so yeah, hopefully that's a yes to it making sense and not a yes to the fact that I'm annoying you. If I am, I do apologise, buddy. Matthew says, would love that your ships have some weight when you land. It does not feel paper like it does right now. Yeah, and I think the landing mechanic, the Reclaimer's a really good ship to stick with in this. When the Reclaimer lands, watching the landing gear kind of bounce and take the weight of the ship, you really get a sense visually that this thing is incredibly heavy and that it's actually settling in place. And I want that to kind of extend into like the way it feels when it flies. Jadoma says, first time I landed at New Babbage in the recliner, I landed on the ship's roof in the hangar. Sounds like a skill issue. Matt P, good evening, bud. I did see you earlier on. I do apologise not for saying hello, but good to see you, buddy. As Space Engineers player, thrust to weight ratio, including load, becomes challenging once it's below 120%. Most SC ships feel like they're 150 to 200% currently. So thrust to load being 120% in thrust's favour. Yep, that makes sense. The Scorpius should be amazing to fly with 4 wings. Yep, absolutely. The Lightning looks like it's going to be very good to fly, as does the Arrow. The Gladius, kind of. It's not as Delta Wing as some stuff, but yep, certainly that as well. You know, weirdly, that would make the Scorpius more maneuverable in Atmo, but also slow it down from the extra drag. Yep. Jedi Drifter says, when massive control surfaces in game, it will get very interesting. Yeah, what I really like to see about the flying bit, and maybe whilst we're talking, I can kind of find the video and show you the bit that I mean. But I think it's the taking flight one, right? One of the bits that's really interesting is atmospheric flight. Here we go. Bonk. Is the bit where they show a stall sequence. So you see the ship kind of drop and then come back up. And that's exactly what happens, right? With planes, as they put the nose down, it drops. The wing, the speed, the airspeed increases. So the flow of air, and this is what they're showing now, right? I think. Is this the stall? So yeah, they're dropping off completely, and now you can see he's kind of losing control of it. So his speed's 51. The nose is dropping, he's hit stall speed. Now flow is increasing, it's increasing speed up to 70. The flow of air is increasing, and the aircraft will naturally right itself, as long as it's got enough altitude to do so. So that's kind of really cool. Destro, good evening, bud. Good to see you. Welcome in. I just said that I saw the word burrito in chat, and now I'm hungry. It was the crosswind, honest, or maybe the alcohol. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah. So Yeah, Destro says, I can't wait till a cargo starts adding weight and making those approaches even harder. Yeah, and I think, I remember someone saying, although I don't think this is official, I think they were saying, like, every ship behaves like it's, like, almost fully loaded, because they had to do something with it, so, or it's empty or whatever, but they've kind of gone for standard weight. So, yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting. This, I think they're talking about hover and, you know, how long something can hover before the thrusters kind of start to really struggle and overheat. But yeah, I mean, that flying and the way the helmet moves and the fact that you've got a little bit of that force feedback look, like you're actually sat in it and not just glued rigidly into place with a couple of scaffolding poles. I really like that. It's a really good looking system, right? There's the stall shake, says Avith. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So sorry, I've just lost my place in chat, so I'm going to catch up with it. Or when they make it so you don't jump as far because you just ate a burrito. I feel personally attacked by this. Having been a massive fan of burritos, you can tell, but I'm tapping my stomach, right? So yeah. And now I just want a burrito, goddammit. You know, we'll trade credits for burrito. Landing reclaimer. Cargo placement and weight will make a difference in atmospheric flight. C2 is much too agile and needs to be affected by the cargo. Yeah, 100%. It needs to be something that can glide fairly well, but becomes an absolute pig to fly when fully laden, right? Because there's loads of things that are very conventionally aircraft shaped. That doesn't necessarily mean that they handle particularly well. And I feel like that needs to be the C2. You know, there needs to be some offset. It's fast. It's traditionally aircraft shaped. There needs to be some offset with the handling, because of course in space none of those things matter. You can be you can literally be a Borg cube in space, right? It's irrelevant. There is so minimal drag as to say there's no drag. Yeah. It's this stuff is interesting. So hopefully, obviously, this hasn't been confirmed for 323. They haven't mentioned atmospheric flight. We're just in that mode of talking, which is why I'm showing it for anyone that's just turned up. However, the list of what they have added, unfortunately, I didn't keep the list of features that I created when I made the video, that I'll link in chat in a little while. Which was every feature that I knew that they were talked about in 324. That wasn't just from CitizenCon, that was everything else they said as well. I haven't been able to do a side-by-side comparison yet. Maybe that's something as a video I can do in the near future, and you know, have some visuals to support that. So yeah, but to see how much we've got coming in as Yogi, the man, the legend, you know, that's it. Thank you, Ape. I appreciate it, man. Yeah. The like button, if you guys fancy it, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you. Cool. So, yeah, I guess we kind of here and I'm going to pop this on just because I know someone in chat will be very pleased with it. Just while we talk, I think it's fine, right? Retina says, I'd like to see CIG get the weights to a point where they can make some sense, because a fighter craft should not weigh hundreds of thousands of tons. It should maybe weigh like 20 to 30 tons. Yeah, so aircraft weights are normally talked about in terms of pounds, for whatever reason. But yes, there needs to be obviously some realistic weighting going on. Zavir says, looking forward to FPS scope diffraction. It looked really good during CitizenCon. It did. I'll just kill the text bit because that's distracting. But yes, a lot of the stuff they're doing with FPS. So what was interesting is at the moment what they're doing with the reload stuff, just to continue down the FPS route, is what you'll be able to do now when you've got a bunch of mags on you with only like, you know, a fraction of the amount of rounds. You'll be able to look at your weapon and go repack magazines. And what it'll do at the moment is it'll just sort them all in, so you'll get 4 magazines back, and then whatever you get spare, you'll get in a leftover mag. So you don't end up with a belt full of magazines that are of varying sizes and not really helpful to you. What they have said is that's only a temporary measure, and they certainly haven't ruled out in the future actually physical animations for removing mags from rounds, putting them back in. And anyone that's played Tarkov knows that actually, I think it adds to the gameplay, because it becomes a real concern with kind of making sure that you don't just reload it every single time you fire, because otherwise what you end up with is a lot of mags and you've got to top off each one individually. That causes a lot of downtime. You tend to expend a lot from one magazine, then change over and that sort of stuff. And it's like, well, do I change over now? Do I risk alerting someone? Because obviously changing a mag is sound. And a lot of what Tarkov does is by sound, so listening to where other players are. So that sort of stuff makes it quite tactically interesting. It's not just a realism for realism's sake thing. Maybe it has a place in Star Citizen, maybe it doesn't, but that'll be cool. One of your magazines are actually batteries. Be cool to be able to share charges, to be able to equalize the charge between the two, or transfer charge from one to the other. Maybe that's how they hand wavium that one away. But yeah, hopefully, Sonny, that answers your question, bud. But welcome in. Good to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. Portable charger for your belt. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, maybe the payoff with the energy weapon mags is that maybe you can charge them back on the ship. You can take power from that. But the downside of that is that they can't be balanced. I have a feeling, for the time being, it'll just be a case of you can do it with everything just to make it equal, right? But later on, they may well go that way. Like, well, these mags can be reloaded on your ship, and that means you don't have to carry ammunition for them, which is the advantage over ballistics, which is exactly the same advantage that ships have, that they draw energy from the capacitors rather than having a finite number of hard rounds on board. That to me sounds like sense, but you know, you guys might have a different a different feeling on the matter. Macho says, I'm not that super excited that the backpack is adding to the ammo count. I feel like it has a downside, like it'll take a bit longer to reload. Yes, as far as I understand it, that's what they've said. That you will now be able to reload straight from your backpack, but when you do, it will take longer, which is kind of cool. I mean, I don't know whether... Maybe it works from... that would work from pouches. So for those that don't know, there will be pouches added to the game. So things you can bolt onto your armor or wear on a belt or whatever. That seems more sense than taking it out of a backpack mid-firefight. I still feel like that sort of stuff should be something that takes you longer to access. Maybe that's where you go from where you're going from matchup. But yeah, I get your point. I get your concern. Again, you know, for the people where it doesn't seem to be, it doesn't seem to work, that's when you get on the forums. That's when you're on Spectrum, but in a constructive manner. But yeah, so hopefully that's it. You know, energy weapon mags, maybe they can equalize. Maybe they can recharge on the ship. You can put them just into a charging point. But yes, for the moment, I would very much expect for 323 that we are just going to end up with, you know, everything can do it for the time being, just for the sake of getting it in and working. Retro Bonus says, it would make some sense since generally they don't do as much damage as ballistic weapons, so having the ability to charge on ship or by some other convenient means is a reasonable trade-off. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I quite enjoy at the moment. I'm quite enjoy using the Gallant rifle. I find that quite useful, the kind of tri-burst laser gun. The Damaco is a lot of fun. I really like the sound that makes. Like the fact it almost screams when it's fired. It's very high pitch. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I for a long time I rolled with the FS9, but I'm just kind of falling out of love with it at the moment. The P6LR is easily my favourite weapon in game. Well, they do have the advantage of 0% damage, fall off over distance. Yeah, 100%. My constructive matter is, it sucks. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is CIG, fix. This is rubbish. Stop doing it. Yeah, you know, the P6LR is just not suitable for things like Siege of Orison, but I do really enjoy it. Unless you want to go like dedicated sniper team on the roof, just going face checking buildings with an exceptionally long rifle is a bad idea. You want a solid backup weapon if you're going to do that. But yeah, Brandon says that's a good thing. Also, since they don't do as much damage, it makes sense that they keep what they have. Yeah, 100%. Libraries. Cool. Maybe we scoot forward and do something like that, right? Boink. So yeah. So again, no release date, no target date yet for 323. Having just had the Christmas patch, obviously it's going to be a little bit longer. We're probably not talking till March at the earliest. Sorry, to end of March, beginning of April at the earliest. But that's exciting times, right? Oh, okay. That was the shadow, by the way. Absolutely. Don't badmouth my laser damage. Big fan of the custodian and the Damaco. Yeah, and this is, I think all of these trade-offs are going to be really important. So one of the things that I was on Daily Noob's stream the other day. Hey, Ratcatcher, good to see you. Welcome in, my friend. So I was watching Daily Noob play, and I will get his link because if you're looking for someone to watch and you don't already watch Daily Noob over on Twitch, he does some really, really good content. He's absolutely perfect with getting new people into the game. So if you want to learn something, he and I are going to do some low flying stuff. He's going to teach me that once I've got some sticks. That's going to be really cool. You're going to watch me explode like a lot. So yeah, he's really good for helping people out with stuff like that. Also, if you're a bit of a degenerate like us, then holy moly, it's kind of crazy. But there's his link down in the chat. Give that a go. It's incredibly good looking. It's good content. Daily Noob, good looking guy, really friendly, and a good stream. And someone else who get the link to his Discord. You can just go in and play games with him. He really doesn't care. He's more than happy to play games with the community, get everyone together, and enjoying Star Citizen the way it's meant to be enjoyed. Ratcatcher says, so they delivered everything from CitizenCon, huh? Basically what happened, buddy, is they've released the patch details for 323, some of the stuff that we're getting, and it is over half of what was shown at CitizenCon. So just to go through the list again, EVA, the player interaction experience, reloads, crosshairs, recoils, and scopes, the visor and HUD updates, including the compass, master modes, precision targeting, gimbals are going to be added to almost all ships, the distribution facilities, the really big things like the raid level content stuff, we're getting multiple ones, not just one copied. They're going to be different layouts, different purposes, different companies will run them, meaning that what you do there will be slightly different. The star map, the character customizers, the cargo elevators, and the way you interact with your inventory. The Xeno threat event is being massively updated and expanded, and they're adding a pre-event to it. But they're not telling us what that is. We just got to find out, and hopefully that'll come before 323, is what they've said. Blockade Runner, the updated Ninetales lockdown is coming with the next patch. The new looting menu, the shopping app, and a massive rework of the prices of all the ships in-game. So yeah, the fact that they've brought so much so quickly is really encouraging for what it means for the future in terms of how many devs they're bringing across from Squadron 42 and the immediate impact they're having. We had a little talk about what we thinking is coming in 324, and there were some really, really good predictions. I'm just going to pop back up to see if I can find the one that we were talking about. But yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that they showed us that we can't expect, obviously, is the base building, because that's only started this year, and I would be very surprised if we got much of that in before the end of the year, if at all. But other than that, that was that. It's very likely an Evocati. I think Evocati might have gone out a little while ago. I heard a rumor, but I'm not one, so I don't know. When it comes to PTU, we'll find out, I guess. But yeah, so that's what they've talked about. They've changed the way that they are talking about the patches. So normally they do the video on the patch when the patch is released. What they've done now is on Friday they had the hour-long Star Citizen live. They talked about the patch then, which kind of shows how confident they are of getting this stuff in. Because if they weren't, they just wouldn't have bothered, right? They'd wait till the next patch to do it. So it's an interesting, it's an interesting list of features, much bigger, I think, than most people were expecting. Sunny Boy says they did mention energy weapons might recharge using the body's kinetic energy, so a quick jog with an arc-like structure leg might add a few extra rounds. That would be interesting. But yeah, we'll see. Kind of like the watch that does the recharge off the body's energy. I'll have to give it a go as I prefer stealth as I can manage it. I take it that's about the custodian stuff, Retina. Macho says, there's one thing that annoys me a bit. As soon as a big or large ships are coming online, you hear most or a lot of content creators tell them to use AI or blades to control your ship. So yeah, when we get together a lot in the Discord and we talk about this with a lot of people, and the same thing keeps coming up. We don't know how blades are going to work. We don't know how AI crew are going to work. We don't know the associated costs. We don't know the limits. There's no guarantee that having multiple accounts will allow you to have more characters. None of that is confirmed. And it's been a long old time, certainly since they've talked about NPC crew. They've mentioned blades in an abstract way recently, but for people to make the decision of really big ships that cost an awful lot of money, if they're buying it for real, and make the guarantee about doing that, it's a possibility. But it's not something that we're a massive fan of in the Discord talking about, because it's unreliable, right? There's nothing confirmed. So to make people those recommendations. Now, if you're going to buy like a Polaris or a Hammerhead in-game, you're not losing anything really, because it's the in-game UEC cost. You're not putting any of your own cash up to that. You're just putting the time that you put into the game. And like, whatever, right? That's fine. But especially when people are considering buying this stuff themselves, it strikes me as a little bit risky, a lot risky to be recommending that to people. So 100%. Really not sure. I'm not saying that they're not bringing that stuff in, but we just don't know how it works. What is the upper limit? What ships can and can't be crewed? And the answer to that is nobody knows yet. So for people to be recommending it is a really, really bad idea. But yes, that. Ape in Space says, I can't wait to see some of these headies after wearing a helmet for several hours, or like a headset. I've read somewhere that people are now actually having a dent in their head, because where like any kind of fat or extra tissue growth is, it's not where the headsets are, like in real life. So that's kind of crazy. Careful with your headsets. Get in-ear headphones or something. I don't know. Judomo says, I wonder if the energy weapons like the Custodian will affect your detection through pings when it comes in. Very, very possibly. Probably much lower sound, I guess. Higher energy output, potentially. Certainly possible. 323 is starting to go to Avocado or Evocati. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tupac. I'm sure I'd read that somewhere, so thank you. Macho says, it makes me a bit sad. I really like the player interactions, and all this automation removes that. Yeah, I genuinely think there's going to be big ships that just need players in exactly the same way that raids need players in World of Warcraft, right? I know they've just done that dungeon update where you can take NPCs with you, but in raids, you can only do that with other people, and no one's whinging that that's exclusive. That's just the way the game is, and it should be the same in here. Like, people thinking. The other bit that kind of concerns me with the really big ships like the Polaris, the Idris, you've got to be able to coordinate people. So, I take it everyone in chat has played World of Warcraft at some point, or you're at least aware of what it is, right? Now, we can all go to a raid and do what we're told. How many people can actually raid lead? Because, in effect, that's what these big ships are. You're coordinating large groups of players towards a common goal. So, just because you have the money to buy a ship doesn't necessarily mean that you have the ability to effectively manage one, right? And that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, No new features for Eva Carty, says Takara Cord. It's just a stability test. Thank you very much for letting us know. Ratcatcher says, very cool. Sounds like this might be the year, but for real this time. Isn't that the truth? Yeah, we've heard that so many times. And that was my attitude right up until I saw the video on Friday. The fact that they've stated this now up front for the patch makes it feel different. Only time will tell whether it is or not, right? Zavath says, seeing everything that's coming in, what's going to be the feature that ushers in 4.0? I think Ratcatcher answered that. 4.0 is server meshing so that we go to Pyro. 4.0 will be the patch that gives us jump gates and static server meshing over to Pyro. So it won't be the dynamic stuff. It won't be the ability for servers to dynamically spool up and take responsibility for certain areas. But it will be the someone draws arbitrary lines and goes, each system will be split in half, and then the other system will be split in half, and so on and so forth. Because we know, for example, that we are now approaching entity limits on our current servers. So they're going to need to do something over and above, just add another server with another system on it. They're going to need to do something with the current servers. So yeah. Ape in Space says, I would like to see when we have multiple accounts that they are on a master account. What do you mean by that, bud? How does that work? I'm not disagreeing with you, just not sure kind of what that looks like. Notorious says, I'm deliberately keeping quiet on the subject. I will get my soapbox to make a handful of new enemies in the process. Interesting. You can have multiple starter packs on one account. It's just not guaranteed to mean multiple character slots. Yeah, 100%, mate. And that's the thing, I think, is when anyone's making recommendations that may influence people's purchases, they've got to be really, really careful about how that comes across. Retina says, I think if you have more than one game package on a given account, each of those should count as an additional character slot, potentially. Never played WoW, says Teapot. Good. It's eaten a significant portion of my life, especially my younger days. Jedi says, everyone should know by now, a ship that requires 30 plus crew is going to be a hassle to coordinate rolls in battle. I agree, 100%. I don't know that everyone is, though. So it should be fairly obvious that it's going to be a struggle. I really don't think people are kind of cottoning onto that yet. Not everyone, anyway. I'm not saying everyone isn't cottoning on. I'm just saying there's a significant proportion of people that don't seem to be thinking that through because it's not in the game at the minute. Leading raids in WoW or any game can be a nightmare. Yeah, 100%. It's a chore, and you need to be the right sort of person to do it because, being able to communicate effectively and make people feel like they're being asked rather than just being ordered about is really important, especially when people are relaxing. I don't come into games to be told what to do by angry people who talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old, which means I shouldn't play most games, right? But that's what ships are going to be, so that's going to be interesting. I've been a guild master and raid leader for 4 groups, man. It was a job, 100%. Sunny Boy says, what happened to agent smithing? Has it definitely been dropped? Within Squadron, that looks to be the case, mate. We won't be agent smithing. It looks like that's not going to happen. Happy for people in chat to confirm or not. Pyro is the promised land, says Notorious. Shadow Girl clarifies with for pirates. Chris Roberts will take us there. Wow, Notorious. I mean, you woke up and chose violence today. Is everything all right at home, dude? You okay? I wonder if the RL split will be in 323. Good question. Not sure. They haven't said anything, but they've also said that there's a whole bunch of stuff that. Why are there lots of run away? That was weird and rather unfortunate. What the just happened? What the ever living? Yeah. So what I am going to do, just for fun, just for the last one, because we can do this, right? Let's do this, just because it's more fun than watching me, right? Let's do that. But yeah. 2024 is indeed the year of Star Citizen. I've said that before the Star Citizen Live, though. It was after I heard they moved people from Squadron 42 to SC that I believed it. Yeah, and I think what's really interesting is inside Star Citizen, so the one they did on Thursday, they talked about moving a lot of devs across. Because up until that point, I felt like we knew they were moving them across, we didn't know how many. And Jared, I think, literally said like hundreds. So we knew at that point, you were entirely right, that it was going to be good. I mean, there's always the caveat that we've heard promises like this before. Now I do think we've got the information to back that up. But having said that, I still think caution is always a reasonable standpoint to take, because there can be all sorts of problems, especially with a live development game. The development of live products is always going to be slower than just not releasing it and then getting it out the door, right? Yeah. Ratcatcher says, what is the one single feature in 323 that you're most excited for? Oh, mate, what a question. Really good question. Different things for different reasons. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with distribution centers, because I enjoy the group gameplay, and I feel like going into things like going into Siege of Orison as one person, it's too big. You just can't manage it. Going into a bunker as a group of 4 people, the bunker's too small. You just can't. It's not that. I feel like distribution centers are going to hit that real sweet spot for a group of 4, 5, 6 people. And that's really needed at the moment, because I feel like, most people, if they game with the group, they're not going to be much larger than 6. Of course, there will be those people that do, but I feel like for most of us, that's a good group size. So yeah, I like that. The star map is just such a required update. That also, I would have waited for distribution centers. Having said that, if it meant that we got the star map, because the star map's just shite in its current form. So I'm not going to be talking nostalgically about the star map. The new one's just going to blow it out the water. But yeah, good question. Thank you for that. Perseus 4 to 6 crew is the sweet spot for me, like the characters Jedi Drifter. Jedi, you're saying all the right things, my friend. But Perseus, ugh. Yeah. Ray says engineers will become priceless on bigger ships. The ability to coordinate damage control parties while under fire will be a rarity. 100%. And engineers who know their ships know exactly where the relay, the fuse is in certain locations. All that sort of stuff is going to be, as you say, absolutely priceless. Macho says, my recommendation is get an Avenger Titan and then lean back and enjoy the game. 100%. And, the other thing for new players is don't be afraid to ask people to borrow their ships. People are really keen to show their ships off, even if that means giving it to you and letting you fly it off into the verse, right? We are, honestly, most of us have more ships than we can fly at one time. Ask, and if people are trying to charge you UEC for it, tell them to go F themselves and, find someone that isn't. But, any ship you want to try, it's out there. Ape in Space says, just thought I have over 70 ships on my main account. I mean, called it, right? Holy cow, man. That's a lot of ships. And only my starter on the second account, and they're not connected. So the money spent on the second account is not included on the total of my main. No, that's true. But initially that's not going to be a problem, because orgs, they've said on a number of occasions, you are going to be able to make your ships available for orgs. That may well extend to friends and stuff as well. So you can say, these ships, if the org needs them while I'm offline, they can draw them out. So you'll have, in effect, like an org hangar that people can call ships from. So that'll be cool. It's not necessarily as people go, well, what could you do with 70 ships? Well, actually, there is a purpose to it. Shadow Girl says, it might be hard to fully crew the Polaris, but for me that size makes things much more exciting for me, so I'll be shooting for that. 100%, and you're EXO, ready for duty. Ratcatcher says, I would not count on Agent Smithing or any other character slot features to pan out as initially pitched. The whole game has changed so much since they spoke on all that. Yeah, and, I think things like the AI blading and stuff, aside from, like, because it already happens, right? The AI already fires turrets. To add that ability to a normal turret and give it some sort of, like, designate friendly thing, that is old tech. That's nothing revolutionary. Where it's going to be limited, I think, is by things like the computer size on your ship will dictate how many blades you can add. And of course there will be exceptions to that. It'll also be the quality of the blades. They've said that there will be some blades out there that are no longer produced that are exceptionally good quality, but they're very rare finds. Like end game loot, that sort of stuff. Hellwinter, good evening, bud. We were just talking at the earlier of the stream. I don't know if you were here or not, or whether you were lurking. But yeah, we were talking about Friday and the Siege of Origin stuff Origin stuff that we did. So really good fun. Thank you for being there. Really enjoyed it. Best time to find and identify bugs, since now they have more manpower. Yeah, and get the features in so the bugs, when they are there, don't last as long. We're always going to break stuff. I keep liking it too. You're building a house and people are demanding that you hoover to clean up, but it's like there's no roof, no windows, no door. What's the point in hoovering? Because we know we're just going to make it mucky again, and it's the same thing with the bugs. Of course they're going to smash some of them, but the key thing now, I think, is to get as many features in so that when they go and do a concerted bug smashing effort, they are gonna, it's gonna be meaningful and long term that they smash those bugs. But yes, absolutely. Star map, purely based on the pain caused by the current version. I guess that's the most exciting version of 3.23, says Notorious. Zava says, Star map removes the biggest, smelliest band-aid ever. You are not wrong, my friend. It really is big and it really is smelly. Ape in Space says, I can't wait till we let org members use our ships, 100%. That's a Praetorian pack. I'm not entirely sure what that's in reference to demo, but yep. Good point in distribution centers, Star Map 2. I will have to do some catching up. Looks like a lot of people like myself are coming back after hearing about 3.23. Well, in that case, mate, welcome back. And I hope it justifies you coming back to the game. If it doesn't, it's a shame, but I'm sure at some point it will begin to fulfill the reason you first looked at it. And we'll still be here when you want a game. So welcome back, and I'm glad that it's finally living up to some of the hype for you. That's good news. What would you guys say? What would you say, Rat? If there was one thing in 3.23 that brought you back over everything else, what would it be? I'd be interested to know. Oh, sorry, Jodomo. That's a Praetorian pack, 70 ships. Yes, mate, you are entirely correct. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah. So there's lots of... I think there's lots to be cautiously optimistic for. If they hit that with 3.23, even if it's a little bit delayed to fit it all in, because, like we've said before, bringing devs over doesn't mean an immediate increase in efficiency. It means an increase in manpower and man hours. Of course, those teams are going to learn to work with each other. They're going to be this is the quantum effect I think you guys are talking about. Yeah, beautiful looking quantum effect. I hope we don't lose the alien stuff like this. I hope we just get an updated one for the Sulen, and the other ships like that, because their quantum effect is really cool. I hope they just update it to that kind of same caliber as that. But yeah, they're going to have to get used to working with each other. They're going to have to get used to multiplayer code versus single player code. They need to be bedded in. They need to understand the teams. They need to get used to the new stuff, and they won't have that immediate familiarity with what they're dealing with. But that's a good thing, because it means the pace will increase again over and above just adding like 300 devs to the Star Citizen project. As they get more efficient, that pace is going to increase again. And they really need to. They need to start getting gameplay loops in, not just these features and quality of life improvements. And I know I'm shooting ahead, because literally at the beginning of this I was like, hype! like loads of quality of life improvements, but that's where we need to go, right? That's what we're gunning for in the medium term, is we need more gameplay loops in quicker. Ratcatcher says, I always check in on new patches, but after Sitcom decided to wait until most of what was said was delivered. If they do really deliver over half of it in 3.23, then I'm happy. Good, mate. I'm glad. And, you know, I understand, trust me, the reticence and the waiting to see that they do actually deliver it. 100%. You know, and no one here will blame you for that. And if they do, send them to me. You know, you've got to be a realist about these things. There's been lots of promises broken, lots of dates missed. So it's only natural that we turn around and say, well, hang on a second, show us you can do it. Don't just tell us, show us, and then maybe we'll move forward. Of course, the other side of that is once they do start to show us these things, and they haven't yet, but once they do start to show us they can hit these dates, is we have to start letting go of the missed promises, because it's like, you know, how long are you going to hold someone to a mistake they made a decade ago? You know? So yeah. Shadow Girl says, character customizer, the star map, and the local map, vehicle elevators, and the hangar. I feel like for me, these are the three most important pieces. Yeah. So character customizer, the maps, and the vehicle elevators. 100%. I knew you were going to be a fan of the character customizer. You know, significant improvements. Stikaracord says, better than the effect is the quantum minigame and the short jumps. Yep, so when you jump, again, it's that idea of a pilot being necessary and not just something you do to get you from A to B. Better pilots are better at it. You know, keeping the ship in the quantum bubble whilst the quantum bubble forms, and then it says quantum stable, and then you can get up and move around. Also, space whales, also space whale boobs. Now I've seen it, I can't unsee it. Whoever told me that, I hate you, but I can't unsee it. Oh my god, gamers are awful. So yeah, personally I'm most excited for the interaction system. I play with an excellent controller. Yeah, so huge quality of life. I hadn't thought of that. Huge quality of life for those on controllers. Being able to actually see what you're going to interact with and pick it up without having to faff around in menus and move to exactly what you want. Yeah, huge. Yeah, really good quality of life improvement for you. Zava says, now that they've shifted devs from Squadron 42 to from Squadron 42 to SC, do you think this is the new standard, or do they shift devs back? I think this is certainly going to stay the way until Squadron 42 releases. It may well be dependent on the success of Squadron 42, which I hope will obviously do well. And I think all of us can have that hope, even if they don't want to play it themselves, because it means a massive influx of cash for the company. And that's no bad thing. But yeah, I don't know if it's the new standard. I think it's going to be very fast now. It's going to drop off a little bit because all these features they're bringing in are going to be stuff that they know about and they've already got formulated. It's already been through the approval process because it's been there for Squadron 42. They know what they want to achieve in Star Citizen. They've just got to adapt it for multiplayer code. So that's going to make a lot of these features quicker. But also, I'm hoping that the way they're managing this is a lot of these teams aren't working on these features because they are so quick to implement, that they're actually looking ahead. And once this stuff is in, there's going to be a much faster input. Yeah. Ape in Space says, as Drinker said, if you want to try a ship, let me know. I'm always glad to share. You can catch me in game. Ape, that's very kind. Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone appreciates it. But yes, really, really good news. Thank you very much for that. And I know a lot of the community are just as generous as Ape with their time and their ships. Redner Bonus says, if I had to choose one, it'd be a toss-up between the Star Map and Quantum Boost. Interesting. Reason for the map is obvious, but Quantum Boost allows one to go places you can't go right now and encourages exploration. Yeah, absolutely. Which is better, Space Whale boobs or the whole sea image in the ship view? Stakaragood, you're a monster. Honestly, you were so nice and polite and just generally well mannered, and then you said something like that. I mean, what's going on, man? I can deal with the whole sea image. The space whale boobs make me feel really uncomfortable, and I don't know why. But yeah, it just makes me feel bad for wanting to go and find a space whale now. God, I can't believe you asked me that. You're a monster. Nobody clip that. I'll cut you. Jedi Drifter says perhaps job mission distribution centres at major hubs will give large and cap ships. It was a good setup. It was. You're an awful human being. A place to get your ship crew while picking up missions. Yeah, 100%. And I'm really hoping that... I described this in one of my videos a long time ago, and it was a very lengthy description. But in effect, what I was trying to say was, it would be really cool if a couple of the handcrafted missions that they do, there's an NPC that you interact with, and if you give them, if you choose one of the right paths, they can offer to join your crew, and maybe even then have voice lines that refer back to it. So you don't it's not just the hiring of random strangers based on a CV or whatever, that actually you can accrue these people through deeds that you do in the universe if you choose the right options. Stuff like that would be so cool and just add so much more, depth of feeling and life to the universe. But yes, 100%. Ratcatcher says, true, Quantum Boost will be awesome. Is that included as well then? Is Master Mode's coming in fully? So that's my understanding, is that Master Modes are in Arena Commander now. Can anyone confirm? The fact that they're adding it, we don't know if it's for all ships. They've said they're working hard to get the ships done. They did not say that all ships would be done. And they did say it. CitizenCon, obviously, they caveated it by saying, we don't know if it's going to come in. We might consider doing some ships at a time and do them in batches. We're hoping to get them all done at the same time. So it hasn't been confirmed, so we don't know either way. But yes, it looks like that's the way it's going, which is really exciting. Master Modes is an Arena Commander for a limited number of ships. Yeah. So the fact that they've not just said Master Modes is all ships for Arena Commander, they've said Master Modes is coming in 323. I mean, to me, that sounds like it's going to be in the PU. Again, not confirmed, but certainly watch the video. It's one of the first things they talk about. They cover it in the first 10 minutes. Have a look and see what you think. But that certainly seems to be the implication. I don't want to, make it say that something's happened that it hasn't. And we've always got to be careful that unless they say something explicitly, that we need to, avoid saying that they've said something they haven't, and taking things as promises when it's not. Armor will become very important when Master Mode is implemented. 100%, Jedi. It's going to be a big piece of the space combat puzzle. But yeah. So I'm going to try and jump ahead of how many comments we've got, because I've finally caught up with you guys. And what I'm going to say is, I'm going to draw stumps there. So the Sunday stream is only ever 2 hours. Please remember to go and check out Daily Noob stream. I'd be very keen to you guys to see how good his content is, and go and say hi. Let him know that I've sent you. He's really good. He pops in very regularly to our Discord as well. The link for that was in the chat. That's Daily Noob's channel there. I've just linked it in the comments for you guys. But yeah, it's been real good fun chatting with you guys. Really nice to be able to share some good news with you and some positive stuff about Star Citizen, and to catch up with you all. Thank you again for those that played the community games. If you want to be part of it, just jump in the Discord. You are more than welcome to join. Next event, Zaveth, not sure yet, buddy. Keep an eye on the Discord on SC events. I'll put things up in there. I'll create a Discord event for it as well. But right now, unfortunately, Siege of Origin finishes tomorrow tea time. So that's that. But Xenothreat, when that comes up, we'll certainly get some time where, you know, I've got a Hammerhead at the moment because I'm waiting on my Perseus. We can maybe do some multi-crew gaming. We can get a bunch of fighters together. I know someone wants me as their turret gunner for their Scorpius. So we can absolutely do some of that. And I will post all of that in SE events. Really keen to game with you guys. Yeah, absolutely. Tea time. Tea time is all the time. You rotter. But thank you very much for being here. Yeah, I think we've covered all the comments. We're there, aren't we? Good stuff. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.